Our little sob story is now mended. I may wick some super glue into the crack later on, but before I do that I'll put some shellac on the back, because the super glue may affect how the timber takes up shellac and colours when it comes time for finishing. I'm not too concerned about the strength of the join, because when we put this compound curve into the back, it's going to be stretching it apart in the middle and pushing it together on either sides. So now it is time to join the back to the body. Because my Go Bar rig is designed to also handle my bass guitars, which have a very wide body, I've just got a couple of moulds sitting down there to bring up the height so that my rods are the right length. One of the braces is not in the channel. That's one of the more nervous parts of the build, because we've got to convince this back, which formerly identified as straight, that it is actually very, very curved in 2 dimensions, and it's not all that keen on the idea. We've got the back attached. It didn't catastrophically tear itself apart when I removed the clamps. I'm using the back brace here as a height adjuster, and I'm putting a towel because the back, the newly attached back, is going to be bearing some of the pressure when we attach the soundboard. Which is the next step. I must, of course, not forget to remove the rudder that I bolted to the neck block. It's going to get pretty difficult to remove if we put the soundboard on. Right, that's a good tight join all round, so we wait for that to cure. I promised you a box. We have a box, but it's got a bit of an untidy base and lid, so we need to cut away this overhang, top and bottom, and I'll be using a flush cut router bit to do that on the router table. and I will be very careful about tear out, and to do that we will be doing what is known as climb cuts, particularly when we are going downhill towards the center line of the guitar. So always cutting in that direction, that way and that way, and being very careful around the flat parts at the top as well. Did you spot that I forgot to turn the dust extractor on? No matter, the shavings from the router are quite chunky, so they're fairly easy to clean up. The soundboard is now flush all around the perimeter, but the back has got a little bit of an overhang at either end due to the curvature of the back, because we had to kind of lift it up to get at the router blade. That's not a problem, that's going to be sorted when we cut the binding channels. What it's time to do now is to cut the sound hole. And I've got a little template here, and I position it and fret about it until I'm happy. What I want is a nice harmonious line from the outside of the lower bout to the inside of the sound hole. And I want nice even distances along here to the edge and a distance to where the fretboard is going to be. So I'll get that right and trace it, and then we can cut it out. Bonus points for spotting the two mistakes there. Number one, I should have been using this oversized Forstner bit. I came very close to scarring the soundboard. Number two, I should have been using this cradle to hold everything steady. Now we're going to be using the router, and that is tricky because the more of the hole we take away, the less flat area there is for the router to rest against.
The most useful saw in the world.
Okay, now I've got it very close to where I want it to be. I'll finish it off by hand with sandpaper wrapped around this selection of PVC tubing. I'm putting a round over underneath the sound hole. This is mostly for finger comfort because it's an easy way of picking up the guitar. But I'll only be putting on a very slight round over on the top of the guitar because a bigger round over is actually harder to French polish evenly. I'm now happy with the way the hole looks and feels. The inside of the guitar is full of rubbish, but we'll sort that out later. I'm now going to do a step to fix a problem from an earlier video where I cut this piece too short. Actually, we'd do this step anyway. I'm going to cut a channel along here with the table saw, dado style, and then cut a piece of wood to sit in that channel to make a nice transition between the cutaway and the heel and neck. I'm not going to glue this piece in yet, or indeed get it to the correct size. That needs to wait until after the next step. That next step will be the subject of the next video, and it will be one of the scariest steps of the build. Thanks for watching. Join us then. Cheers.